Have you ever stared at a dining room table completely covered in medical bills, therapy schedules, and draft IEPs and just froze? Or maybe you've had that moment where a specialist asks you a simple question about your child's medication dosage and your mind just goes completely blank.
Oh, I think every parent of a medically complex or neurodivergent child has been exactly there. It's that feeling of, I'm supposed to be just a parent, but somehow I've become a full-time case manager, a nurse, and a legal advocate.
Exactly. It is overwhelming. And if you're feeling that weight right now, take a deep breath. You are not alone. Welcome to the Rising Parent Podcast. Today, we are tackling a massive, incredibly important topic. We are diving into the 10 essential tools for special needs caregiver organization.
Yes. Hi, guys. I'm Edna.
And I'm Tim. We're so glad you're here with us today.
We really are. Parenting is already a full-time job, but when you are raising a child with special needs, whether they are autistic, have a physical disability, or require complex medical care, the administrative side of parenting just explodes.
It really does. It's like running a small corporation, right? But the stakes are your child's well-being. And you don't have an HR department or a personal assistant or an IT guy. It's just you.
Oh, wouldn't an IT guy be nice when the school's parent portal won't load the new IEP draft?
Right? But seriously, this is why we wanted to do this episode. In our coaching sessions, we see so many parents who are just burnt out, not necessarily from loving and caring for their child, but from the relentless coordination, the scheduling, the advocating.
Absolutely, especially in those early sleep-deprived months right after a diagnosis. The learning curve is incredibly steep. I remember a family we work with in our coaching sessions, let's call them the Harrisons for privacy reasons. When their toddler was first diagnosed with a rare genetic disorder, Mom told me she felt like she was drowning in paperwork. She was getting 3 hours of sleep a night and spending her waking hours trying to decipher occupational therapy evaluations.
Yeah, and that kind of stress bleeds into everything. It impacts your marriage, your relationship with your child, and your own mental health. When routines are disorganized, behavioral challenges often spike too. Kids, especially neurodivergent kids, thrive on predictability.
So our goal today is to give you a very practical step-by-step organizational toolkit. We want to help you move out of crisis mode and into a place of confidence. Now let's get started.
Let's dive right in. Tool number 1, and honestly, this might be the most crucial one on the list, the Master IEP and Medical Binder.
Oh, the binder. We love a good binder.
We really do. Listen, you need a physical, heavy-duty 3-ring binder. I know we live in a digital age, and we'll get to digital tools in a minute, but there is something incredibly powerful about walking into a school meeting or a new specialist's office and plopping down a well-organized, tabbed binder.
Yes, it immediately sets a tone. It says, I am organized, I am involved, and I know exactly what is going on with my child.
Exactly. So what goes in this binder? You want tabs for everything: medical history, current medications, previous evaluations, correspondence with the school, and of course, the IEP, the Individualized Education Program.
And you want the current IEP plus at least the previous year so you can track progress. Years ago, we had a family in our daycare. Let's refer to them as the Smith family for privacy reasons. They had a brilliant little boy who was autistic, and his mom was a master of the binder. When she came to us for enrollment, she had a tab just for his triggers and soothing strategies. It was a game changer for us. We knew exactly how to support him from day one.
That's such a great example, and that actually ties perfectly into the school system, right? Having that documentation at your fingertips prevents you from relying on your memory during high-stress meetings. When an administrator says, well, we didn't discuss speech therapy twice a week, you can just flip to the correspondence tab and say, actually, in our email on October 12th, we did.
Boom, so good. Which brings us to tool number 2, a digital medical records app or a secure cloud drive.
Yes, because you can't lug a 10-pound binder to the grocery store, right?
Exactly. And emergencies don't always happen when you're sitting at your desk. You need a digital backup. We recommend setting up a dedicated Google Drive, Dropbox, or using a specific medical records app.
You scan everything, every evaluation, every prescription, every piece of school paperwork, and you share access with your partner or your primary backup caregiver.
This is so vital. I was talking to a mom we work with. Let's call her Sarah for privacy reasons. She had an emergency where she had to be hospitalized suddenly, and her husband had to take over all the complex care for their medically fragile daughter. Because they had a shared cloud drive with all the feeding tube schedules and medication dosages, he didn't have to panic. It was all right there on his phone.
That peace of mind is priceless. And speaking of medications, that's tool number 3, a bulletproof medication management system.
Oh, this is a big one.
It's huge. When you are managing multiple prescriptions, vitamins, and supplements taken at different times of the day, you cannot rely on your brain. You just can't. You've got decision fatigue, you're tired.
You're pouring coffee into your cereal bowl.
Exactly. We've all been there. So you need a system. This means daily pill organizers, maybe even the ones that have 4 compartments per day. It means setting recurring alarms on your phone. And it means keeping a printed medication log on the fridge.
And let's not forget the behavioral side of this, Tim. You see this all the time.
Oh, absolutely. I worked with a family in our coaching sessions. Let's call the child Max for privacy reasons. Max has ADHD and anxiety, and his medication schedule was very specific. The parents were just sort of winging it, giving it to him around breakfast and sometime in the afternoon. Max was having massive behavioral meltdowns around 3 p.m. every day.
The dreaded afternoon crash.
Right, because the medication was wearing off unpredictably based on when he took it in the morning. We instituted a strict alarm-based medication system. Morning meds at exactly 7:15 a.m., afternoon meds at exactly 2 p.m. Within a week, the 3 p.m. meltdowns practically vanished. Consistency is everything.
Wow, that's incredible. And it's such a simple shift, but it takes organization to execute it.
It really does. Okay, we've got a lot more tools to get through, but we are going to take a very quick break right here.
We want to pause just for a moment to remind you that we drop brand new episodes of the Rising Parent podcast every Monday and Friday. Make sure you are subscribed so you never miss out on these conversations.
Absolutely. And you know, Edna and I created this podcast for 2 main reasons. First, to help families like yours navigate the incredible, beautiful, and often chaotic journey of parenting. But second, we started this show to raise funding for our nonprofit mobile food bank, Selfless Outreach.
That's right. If you are finding value in this episode, or if our podcast has helped your family in any way, please consider paying it forward by donating to Selfless Outreach. You can do that by going to selflessoutreach.org and hitting the donate button.
Every single donation helps Selfless Outreach serve the underserved in our communities. We are so passionate about this cause, and your support means the absolute world to us. We'll also have a link to Selfless Outreach right in the show notes for you.
Okay, let's get back into it. Tool number 4 for special needs caregiver organization, a color-coded shared family calendar.
Yes, if it's not on the calendar, it doesn't exist.
That is the golden rule. But seriously, when you are juggling pediatricians, occupational therapists, physical therapists, IEP meetings, and, oh yeah, the rest of your life, a standard wall calendar isn't going to cut it.
Right. You need a digital calendar synced to both parents' phones. Google Calendar, Apple Calendar, whatever works. But the key here is color coding.
Green for medical appointments, blue for therapies, yellow for school meetings, red for urgent deadlines. When you look at your week at a glance, you instantly know what kind of energy you're going to need.
And it helps with coordinating a care team, which is a massive angle of this whole journey. You are the project manager of your child's care. By inviting your partner, a grandparent, or a respite worker to view that calendar, you eliminate the, wait, who is taking them to speech therapy today? Panic.
Exactly, which leads us perfectly into tool number 5, and this is one for the kids themselves, visual schedules.
Oh, you know I love a visual schedule.
It is an absolute game changer, especially for our neurodivergent kiddos. Transitions can be incredibly triggering.
Absolutely. We talk about this a lot in our coaching sessions. When a child feels out of control of their environment, they often communicate that fear through challenging behavior. If you suddenly say, "Okay, put your shoes on, we're going to OT," and they were right in the middle of building a Lego tower, you are going to get a meltdown.
Yep, we had a little girl in our daycare years ago. Let's call her Mia for privacy reasons. She had profound sensory processing differences. Drop-offs or a nightmare of tears and clinging. So we worked with her parents to implement a visual schedule at home and at the daycare. Just simple laminated pictures with Velcro backs.
A picture of breakfast, a picture of the car, a picture of the daycare, a picture of mom coming back.
Exactly. And she would pull off each picture as the activity finished. It gave her so much autonomy. She knew exactly what to expect, and the drop-off anxiety plummeted.
That's the magic of visual schedules. It takes the abstract concept of time and makes it concrete. So put one in their bedroom, one in the bathroom for the morning routine, and a portable one for errands. It's an organizational tool that directly impacts your child's behavior and peace of mind.
Okay, moving on to tool number 6, a therapy notes journal.
Oh, this is so important.
It really is. Often you're sitting in the waiting room, the therapist brings your child out, and they give you a quick 2-minute rundown of a 45-minute session. "Oh, he did great today. We worked on pincer grasp. Try practicing with Cheerios at home. See you next week." And then you get to the car, your kid is screaming because they want a snack, and you completely forget what the therapist just said.
Every single time.
Right? So you need a dedicated notebook or a note app on your phone if you prefer, just for therapy notes. Write down the date, what was worked on, and the homework they gave you.
And this is critical for building that care team we mentioned, because your child's occupational therapist might be working on something that their speech therapist could reinforce, but they aren't always talking to each other. You are the bridge.
Yes, you are the hub of the wheel.
Exactly. If you have those notes, you can walk into speech therapy and say, "Hey, OT is really working on fine motor using a pincer grasp right now. Can we incorporate some small objects into his speech games today?" That is next level advocacy.
I love that. All right, tool number 7, the caregiver go bag.
The go bag. This is for the unexpected ER trips or those appointments that run 3 hours late.
We always hope we don't need it, but when you do, it's a lifesaver. Keep a backpack stocked and ready by the door or in the trunk of your car.
What's in yours, Edna?
Oh, okay, so for our families with medically complex kids, it's usually a printed copy of the one-page medical summary, which we'll talk about in a second, extra chargers for your phone, non-perishable snacks for you and your child, a change of clothes, sensory tools like noise-canceling headphones or fidgets, and maybe some comfort items.
Yeah, that's perfect. I remember working with a family, let's call them the Ramirez family for privacy reasons. Their son had severe epilepsy. They had their go bag down to a science. It had his emergency rescue meds, of course, but it also had a cozy blanket he loved and a spare tablet loaded with offline movies. When the ambulance had to be called, they just grabbed the bag. It removed one layer of panic from a highly stressful situation.
That is brilliant prep. Okay, I mentioned the medical summary, which is actually tool number 8, the About Me one-pager.
Yes, this is a document that summarizes your child as a human being, not just a diagnosis.
Ooh, say that again, not just a diagnosis.
Exactly. Doctors and school staff see a lot of paperwork that highlights deficits. The IEP tells them what the child struggles with. The medical chart lists the conditions. The About Me one-pager is a beautiful, positive snapshot.
I love this so much. What does it look like?
So you put a nice smiling photo of your child at the top. You list their name, their age, and their diagnosis. But then you list their strengths. Loves dinosaurs, has an incredible memory for songs, gives the best hugs.
Oh.
Then you list their communication style, uses an AAC device, may need an extra 10 seconds to process questions. You list their triggers and you list their soothing strategies.
It's so practical for substitute teachers, right?
Oh, absolutely. Or for a new paraprofessional or a new respite worker. We tell parents to hand these out at the beginning of the school year. It completely shifts the perspective of the professionals working with your child. They see the child first.
That is such a beautiful way to advocate. And speaking of advocacy, that can be tricky, right? Which brings us to tool number 9, the communication log.
Right, because advocating for your child in school, especially around IEPs, can sometimes feel like going to battle.
It really can, and this is a massive angle we wanted to cover today. Advocating without burning bridges with the school administration.
Yes, because you want a collaborative relationship, not an adversarial one. You're going to be working with this district for years, but you also have to fiercely protect your child's rights. So how do you do both?
Documentation.
Exactly. The communication log. Keep a simple spreadsheet or a notebook where you log every single interaction with the school. Date, time, who you spoke to, what their role is, and a brief summary of what was said.
Why is that so important for maintaining relationships, though?
Because it removes emotion and relies on facts. If an issue arises, say your child isn't receiving their mandated pull-out reading time, if you storm into the principal's office yelling, "You guys never give him his reading time," people get defensive, walls go up, bridges burn.
Right.
But if you send a polite email saying, "Hi team, according to my communication log, I spoke with Mrs. Smith on October 3rd and October 15th regarding the reading schedule, and we agreed it would start on the 20th. Can we check in on why that hasn't happened yet?"
Wow, it's polite, but it's ironclad.
Exactly. It holds them accountable without making it a personal attack. I worked with parents, let's call them the Jacksons for privacy reasons, who were going to war with their school over IEP accommodations. Everything was a fight. We introduced the communication log and we coached them on phrasing. Instead of saying, "You are failing my child," we taught them to say, "How can we work together to ensure this IEP goal is met?"
How can we work together? That's a magic phrase.
It really is. It puts you on the same side of the table as the school, and the Jacksons' relationship with the administration completely turned around. The school actually started being more proactive because they knew the Jacksons were organized, respectful, and keeping track.
That's so empowering, just taking the emotion out of the administration part of it. Okay, we have made it to tool number 10, and this one is my absolute favorite because it's the one parents neglect the most.
Oh, I know where you're going with this.
Tool number 10, a caregiver self-care and respite plan.
There it is.
Listen to me, parents. You cannot pour from an empty cup. You cannot organize an IEP binder or manage an intricate medication schedule or cheerfully advocate at a school meeting if you are fundamentally broken down and exhausted.
It's so true. Caregiver burnout is very, very real.
It is. And we treat self-care like it's a luxury, like it's a spa day. For a special needs caregiver, self-care is a basic survival necessity. It needs to be organized and scheduled, just like physical therapy is scheduled.
Yes. So what does a respite plan look like in practice?
It means looking at your newly organized, color-coded family calendar and actually blocking out time for yourself. Maybe it's 2 hours every Saturday morning where your partner takes over 100% of the care and you leave the house. You go to a coffee shop, you go for a walk, you just exist without being on call.
And for single parents or parents whose partners are working away?
You have to look into local respite care services. Many states have waiver programs that pay for a certified caregiver to come to your home for a few hours a week. Or you look to your support network, a trusted friend or family member who can be trained on the basics. I know a single mom we coach, let's call her Chloe for privacy reasons. She felt so guilty asking for help with her autistic son, but she was hitting a wall. We helped her train her sister on his visual schedule and his soothing techniques. Now her sister takes him 3 hours every Sunday. Chloe sleeps. That's it. She just sleeps. And she is an infinitely more patient, present mother for the rest of the week because of it.
That is beautiful. It is an essential tool. Your well-being is the foundation of your child's well-being.
Absolutely. All right, let's do a quick recap of our key takeaways from today. First, organization is your best form of advocacy. Getting your physical IEP binder and your digital cloud drives in order takes away the panic of missing information.
Second, rely on systems, not your memory. Use pill organizers, phone alarms, visual schedules for your kids, and therapy notes journals.
Yes, and third, remember that you are the project manager of a care team. Use tools like the shared calendar and the About Me one-pager to keep everyone, therapists, teachers, and family members on exactly the same page.
And finally, advocate with facts, not just feelings. Keep that communication log. Use collaborative language with schools to protect those relationships. And above all, schedule your own respite care. You are doing an incredible job, but you need a break too.
You really are doing an amazing job. Special needs parenting is a profound journey, and having these tools in your belt just makes the path a little smoother.
Absolutely. Well, that is all the time we have for today's episode. We hope you found these 10 tools helpful and empowering.
If you did, please make sure you subscribe to the Rising Parent podcast so you don't miss a thing. And we would be so incredibly grateful if you could just take a moment to leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. It helps other parents find the show.
It really does. And remember, we are here with new episodes every single Monday and Friday.
And one last reminder, if this episode brought value to you, please consider heading over to selflessoutreach.org and hitting that donate button. We created this podcast to help families and to raise funding for our nonprofit mobile food bank, Selfless Outreach. Every single donation helps serve the underserved, and you'll find that linked right in the show notes.
Thank you all so much for listening. Be kind to yourselves this week. Keep advocating, and we will catch you in the next episode.
Bye, everyone.